I'm a proud member of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and 20 years ago, during 9/11, I was also here with the Corps of Engineers and involved in the rescue and recovery operations. I was drawn today to this southern reflecting pool. I was drawn here from a memory of 10 years ago when I first visited this location. Not a coincidence, I believe, that I came to this exact location. I have my hand right now on the name of Michael Vernon Kiefer. Michael was the son of one of my colleagues at the Corps of Engineers on September 11th, 2001. And Michael, unfortunately, a hero fireman, was lost on that day. But here's why it's not a coincidence and why I believe that I was drawn here. When I first arrived here 10 years ago, the first location that I walked to was the location I'm standing in right now. I had no thought or idea of where folks' names were on this memorial. I leaned over to look out over the memorial, and when I went to stand up straight, I noticed my hand was on a name. I looked down. It was Michael Vernon Kiefer. My legs buckled. My heart skipped a beat. But I knew I was drawn here. Michael was a hero. I went to his funeral. Mayor Giuliani did the eulogy. It was emotional. It was empathetic. It was powerful. And it was inspirational. We lost so many heroes that day, but I was proud that I was able to step back in within 24 hours and start working with the entire U.S. Army Corps of Engineers team to develop debris management plans to enable the movement of debris off the site and to search and seek rescue of those who might still be trapped.
On September 11th, 2001, I was actually at the Captain's Career Course, where military officers go to learn how to be company commanders. And for me, it was in Missouri, so somewhat removed from the events. And like many others, I spent the morning watching the television and watching those events unfold as the New York district was responding themselves or reacting to the attacks themselves. It was interesting for me because that afternoon a crusty old colonel came in and sat us all down, and we were about 4 years into our careers at that point, and said, "This event will define your military career." And he was absolutely correct.
That particular day when the first plane hit, I was in Atlantic City at a hotel about to host the North Atlantic, South Atlantic annual dredging industry meeting.
I was actually here at 26 Federal Plaza. I was actually working on the 20th floor in the engineering division. And what makes it so memory just like yesterday was when the first plane hit, the whole building shook. And I had a co-worker back then named Lynn Mocamazo, who basically walked into our chief at that time, Mr. Arthur Conley's office, and they started turning on the TV. And they said, "Oh no, this could have been like before where they had an accident where the plane went and hit the Trade Center, and Trade Center was fine." And lo and behold, they're watching the TV with the newscaster, and they see the second plane comes in. And I just remember Lynn walking out the office and looking around saying, "I'm leaving." And that's when the second plane hit and the building shook. So I was actually in the office working that day when 9/11 happened.
I was on my way to a meeting at the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey on the 72nd floor of One World Trade Center. It's amazing as I look back on it that the night before that early morning meeting on Tuesday, September 11th, I received a phone call that asked me if we could push the meeting back a half hour from 9 to 9:30. And I agreed to that and then decided to come straight to the World Trade for the meeting in the morning. I was on my way up to that meeting when the planes hit, and I was fortunate that I was in a location where I could escape the building on the northern side, and that's what I did. I ran out after the plane had hit the building and was fortunate.
Following those events, I left the career course and went on to the 10th Mountain Division, where I went on my first of multiple deployments in support of the War on Terror. As the district remained here, continuing to support the American people, I had my opportunity to respond in Afghanistan and Iraq as we successfully were able to prevent future attacks.
Later that day, General Flowers, who was the chief engineers at the time, made me the senior civilian for the response, so I was the civilian incident commander.
Probably asked to be the liaison to the city by the chief of engineers at the time, because I had incredibly great working relationships with the Port Authority and with a number of the agencies who the Corps of Engineers was working with.
The most proudest piece of it was watching how the Corps of Engineers created the world's largest forensic CSI laboratory on Staten Island, so that every piece of debris was checked twice by a law enforcement agent, looking for everything from not only the human remains, but also from the property, so that could be turned over to the families.
Another key mission for the Corps initially was support of search and rescue teams. The Corps brings in structural engineers from around the country who are able to go into locations under debris piles and actually establish that they are safe from a structural perspective for search dogs and search personnel to be able to do their jobs. We brought a lot of folks in from the West Coast who have expertise in earthquakes and other types of large debris incidents, and they were so helpful to the teams that were here from around the country doing the search and rescue operations.
What I see different today is that we're better prepared to support FEMA and to support the nation in terms of any type of incident. We're always learning from the last incident.
It's been 20 years since 9/11. Day doesn't go by that I don't think about what happened on that day, some of the things I saw. But again, I'm a strong believer in the human spirit. I think we as a nation really stepped up in terms of our response and recovery at this site. We did it in a respectful manner to those who were lost, and I'm just so proud of having been a part of it, but also of my Army Corps of Engineers. That effort, I think, instilled in me a continuing passion to want to help people and be a solutioneer for some of our greatest engineering problems in this country. And I've stayed with the Corps all this time, and again, we'll always look back to this day with great disdain, but at the same time with the knowledge that when bad things happen, the Corps of Engineers and our country will step up on behalf of those who are impacted, and we'll do our best to make things right.
So, fortunately for me, after that military experience, I have the opportunity now to come back and command the New York District. And it's amazing for me to see that the spirit that came alive during 9/11, as this district responded to those events, not only reacting personally, but then coming together with all the other city, state, federal organizations to respond to those events, and coming together like much of the nation did at that time. The New York District has not lost that sense at all. I've been privileged to be here now as we responded to the pandemic and floods and hurricanes, and it's amazing to see that drive to support our neighbors and to support our other agencies and the people of New York continues, much like it did during 9/11. And I'm just happy that I was able to transition from my military experience supporting the War on Terror to continuing to support the American people with the New York District as I do now every day.